Evening there, Skull. Evening, Madwell. Just let me know if you guys can hear me. Trying out some new stuff. Evening, Skull. Death Queen. Great to see so many of you here so early already. Obviously, if you are brave, you can already put in your poll predictions. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to SAFRL Tier 1 on a Monday night. We're looking at a empty pit lane. Obviously tonight we're at Imola, one of the two Italian circuits on the F1 calendar. And already we get some action out on circuit. Good evening, Madwell, Andre, Skull, Death Queen, everyone in the comment section early on as we await some on-track action. The first man out on track, as he was last week, is Wheeze. Just a reminder to everyone that is watching, if you watched the stream last night, I have the same problem as last night. I haven't been able to sort it out just yet. So I can't hear anything. So if there are any sound problems, I'm relying on you on YouTube to let me know. But as far as I know, you guys can hear everything fine. We await some of the faster individuals. Everyone in the comment section waiting for the Alpine to emerge from the pits. Keep our eyes on France. Already a favourite, and he hasn't even turned a wheel. Rees goes over the line. He's going to be the first man to start a timed lap. He will set the benchmark. Remember, tonight is a sprint race. So this will set the grid for the sprint race. And then that sprint race will set the grid for the feature race. So if you do have a bad quali session, if you have a strong sprint race, you can bring yourself right back into things. So it's Midas, Brands, championship leader by quite some margin. He would have to basically go home tonight with 0 points in order for this championship to continue. If he has a good result in the sprint and a good result in the feature race, then surely championship will be over. France remains in the pits. This is Wheeze. We followed him earlier. He was the first man out of the pits, first man to start a flyer. And there is the first flyer, 14.9. Microstatic, second car over the line, 1:15.7, then Buffelsfontein, 1:16.1. These first lap times over the line are pretty far apart, pretty spread apart. You're going to see these lap times get a lot closer as the session goes on. Obviously this first lap is a banker lap. Guys looking to get a time down. Shark goes into P4, 1:20.3. Don't think that is a representative lap. I think he may have backed out of that lap, having another go. Ooh, and we've had a Red Bull go sideways. It's Midas, the number 3 Red Bull. Well, that's supposed to be Danny Rick's Red Bull, the number 3 Red Bull. It's Midas will look to get back to the pits and have another go. That's how short quali can catch you out sometimes. Got to get back into the pits, put on a new set of rubber and go out there again. Don Rabico, championship leader, he did go over the line with a 15-1. He still leads the way with that bank, with that first lap of the evening. Mr. Rem now P2. Then we have the Ferrari of brands, the pair of Mercedes P4 and 5. Django just ahead of his teammate, just ahead of his teammate, just over. It's like 200ths of a second. Midas back into the pits after that first unsuccessful run. Wasn't able to put a lap time down. This is France in the Alpine. Everybody's looking to see what can France produce. If you guys are going to start putting bets against each other under the name of NFR Sports, well, I need a cut. This is France. That apex ever so perfectly, using all of the outside curb, using all of the racetrack. Predictions, when you say low 14, well, there's a 14.5 from the car up the road. That's championship leader Don Rabico. He goes into provisional pole. But he still ride with the Alpine, who dives into the pits. I thought I got that wrong, but yeah, France dives into the pits, does not set a lap time. Wonder if that had been invalidated or if he's just playing a little bit, wants to leave it to the end. You know how dangerous that can be. I won't have to come all the way through the field in a sprint race. Obviously, always the chance of an incident in the sprint race means you'll start right at the back for the feature. So far we have 15 runners. Maybe a few more will be able to squeeze in before the race. Revolution also in the comment section saying Ron's feeling the pressure a little. Well, hopefully he's not listening to the stream, because we gave him an entire lap of onboard footage, and some guys get commentators cursed from just a corner or two of that. Don Ravico on his way back to the pits. Wheeze, Mr. Rem, Neil, the next three cars all in the pits. Brands on an outlap. Django looking to improve. He was just ahead of his teammate, but his teammate has since improved and gone into provisional pole. Django now in 6th place. Does not want to be left behind, wants to join his teammate on the front row, and hopefully just ahead of him. France is on an outlap, so he's gotten back out there pretty early, 8.5 minutes. Still doesn't have a time. This is the other Alpine of Cheddar, currently P7, 15.2. And Django has made it an all Mercedes-Benz front row. Slots into P2, just behind his teammate, round about 1/10 of a second is the gap. This is France going very slowly. He's obviously winding up for a quick lap. His down the middle of sector 2. The other man not to have made a lap for tonight is Afro. No time next to his name. And as the minutes tick, as the seconds tick, pressure builds. If you invalidated the last lap, it's going to be on your mind the next time you go through that corner. Here we go. We go with France once more. Followed him on his last quick lap, or at least quick attempt. He didn't finish that attempt. There we go, using all of the curve on the inside. Just enough apex, not too much. So easy to destabilize these cars on the curves. Have one or two nasty curves. If you're around Imola, you gotta know where they are and stay away. Using all of that outside curve, just flirting with the white lines. Last thing you want to do is get an invalidated lap. You're gonna have to come in and do it all again. Pressure's even more on that final run. This is France. Get a view of him coming over the hill. He's going to go into the final corner and over the line. Hopefully this time he doesn't peel into the pits. He does not. He's going to stay out there, and let's see what he can come up with. It's a 14.3 and it's 3/10 faster than anyone's been able to accomplish tonight. But will we still see that lap time come down? That was obviously a lap under pressure. Pressure will be lifted now. Not only has he set a lap time, he's in provisional pole. He's going to feel a little bit more relaxed on that final run. Still lots of time for a final run. 5.5 minutes remaining. This is Wheeze. Remember, he was the first one to set a lap time, and he was on provisional pole for quite some time. And then all these blitz drivers ahead of him, France, Ravico, Cheddar, Django and Microstatic, make up the top 5. This is Afro. He's on an outlap. We saw he was on a outlap earlier. Obviously that lap didn't go according to plan because he's come back into the pits and he's having another go. And I wonder if this is just coming down to him struggling to stay in the white lines, trying to stay in the track limits, rather the track limits, because this game isn't all about the white lines. It's got some dodgy calls. But I wonder if he's just been aborting the laps due to errors, or if he's been aborting those laps due to invalidated times. I'm quite sure what's happening there. France just making sure those tires won't be used. This is Wheeze. He was able to improve. Remember, he was down in P6, so improves his position up by 3 positions. Goes up into 3rd. France returns to the pits. Mission successful. Provisional pole. Now he can put on a new set of rubber, go out for a final run, have a more relaxed lap. If he goes faster, he goes faster. If he doesn't, worst case scenario, he's still got a great lap. Definitely you can see 1 or 2 drivers obviously missing from the field. Stay on board with Afro. Still looking for his first lap of the evening. All 9 cars, or let's say the top 9, are all in the pits. Not much track action at the moment. I think we're going to see a lot of track action in the very late stages. I think Afro may have got this just right. He's going to have an empty track ahead of him. Everyone else is going to have a busy race circuit, and it's going to be up to them to make sure they have space before they start those final runs. obviously was expecting some of these gaps to come down, but gaps amongst the field relatively big, and I wonder if that is going to translate into race pace. Obviously some guys are going to set this car up a little bit more for the quick lap, some are going to set it up a little bit more for the race. I'd see guys be a little bit more competitive on race pace than they are on quali pace. But so far, class of the field sits in the pits 1.1.1.143, and the next best 14.6 by Rabico. Weez and Cheddar, they are on P3 and 4, and now Django was briefly up on the front row with his teammate. He's now been demoted back to P5. Microstatic also on an outlap. It's Ferrari, what appears to be a quick lap. This is the McLaren driver, and the only McLaren. I was going to say the only McLaren, but Mr. M is right there. It's Ferrari, currently a 14.9, looking to improve. Got a whole smattering of cars right in front of him, just 3 tenths. He's able to pick up a couple of tenths. He could still take second place here. A lot of pressure. It's your final run. We can't see the delta all the way, but the driver will be able to see that delta. He'll know if he's in the red or if he's in the green. If he's in the green, he'll be praying for no mistakes. And look at that, P2. Very nicely done in the closing stages. Now we have a lot of cars out on fast laps. France on an outlap. It's Ferrari, Rabico, Weez, Cheddar, Django, all on fast laps. This is Rabico. Remember, all he needs is 2 decent points paying positions tonight, and that could seal the deal. This is Weez, currently P4, Rabico out in the gravel. I think he's looking for space on the circuit. This isn't really the way to do it, unless he's got damage, because those tyres will have nothing left. France has retired from the session, so obviously didn't get that final run in, and it wasn't needed. Just needed the 1 run. Really good result from It's Ferrari at the end, and as I say it, he gets demoted to P3. Cheddar is going to line up alongside his teammate on the front row, unless Brands is able to do anything about it. He's currently got a 14.9. He's in P8. Neil also on the road, currently in P10. And Jacques, the 3 drivers looking for improvements. Now we wait. Just Neil and Jacques. Neil will be the next man over the line. See if he can improve. I believe that is the session. I don't think he did. So there are your official qualifying results. Remember, sprint race tonight, so this is going to be for the sprint race. France takes pole position. Great time, 14.3. Cheddar got really close at the end, P2, 14.4. Then we have It's Ferrari in P3. It's followed by Rabico, Weez, Django, Microstatic, Brands, Mr. Rem, and Neil, making up the top 10. Not quite in the top 10. Midas P11, Wiffelsfontein P12, Jacques 13, Tiag Maestro 14, and Afro, no lap time. It's going to start from the back of the field. See, now we look at the empty pit lane. So the guys do the final touch-ups to their strategies. Obviously for the sprint race there won't be any real tyre strategy besides what tyre do you intend on starting on. Much more important is the feature race. What tyre are you going to start on? What are your intentions? Are you going to go deep into the race? Are you going to hope for an early safety car and start on the softs? All of those strategies are open to debate. This is Imola. It's a difficult circuit. It's one of the classic circuits. And seeing a safety car here is very possible. There we go, there's your red lights. 5 of them. They're gone. And so are the cars. It's Alpine versus Alpine into turn 1. And hopefully no drama. Remember, this is a sprint race. It's going to determine the grid for the feature race. So even if you don't score a point in the top 8, it's still determining your position in the race. Everyone will be pushing. Everyone will be looking for positions. The Alpines, they'll be hoping for an eventless race, so they can get to the checkered flag 1 and 2 and start the feature race in this order. If Wees can do anything about it, he's not going to let that happen. He's currently in P3. It's Ferrari, P4. And we have Brands making up the top 5. Rabico has lost a few positions at the start. Remember, this is an important race for the points, but taking excessive risk and having a retirement can lead to a very harsh penalty. You're going to start at the back for that feature race. The last thing you want to do is have a retirement in the sprint. Just 2 drivers out on track on the soft compound. That is the driver in first place and the driver in last place. Buffelsfontein and France out front. Everyone else in the field. Buffelsfontein, as I say that, goes onto a set of mediums. So France is the only driver on a set of softs, looking to put on a show. Wees P3. Just an 11 lap sprint race. It's Ferrari still P4, Brand still P5, Rabico didn't have the greatest start. Then Microstatic P7, the second Mercedes in P8, that's Django. Then we have Midas P9 and Tiago Maestro having a good start. It's up into P10. Second McLaren, Mr. Rem, down in P11. Then the first of the 2 Williams, Jacques P12. Afro, after a promising qualifying session, he's down in 13th. Then we have Neil 14 and Buffelsfontein making up the field. But as for France out front, I wouldn't call it comfortable. 6/10 of a second, 7/10 of a second. Just managing that gap, and as soon as it comes out of DRS range, it'll be a lot easier. But for the time being, towing his teammate around, and ideally for that Alpine team, while the leader tows P2 around, they've broken DRS with the rest of the field. So if those Alpines don't attack each other too much, they can very easily drive off into the distance. Some Big gaps already forming in the field. Here is a DRS train. It's Ravico and Brands. Brands holds on to the position for now. Out front, we have the two Alpines. France is followed by his teammate Cheddar, that gap maintaining at just half a second. And if they don't battle each other, and if Cheddar allows France to just tow him around for a couple of laps, they should be able to run away. Problem now is Weeze has pulled away enough from the McLaren, and we have a that's an Alpine facing the wrong way and missing a lot of stuff that's supposed to be there on the front wing. Not what you want to see. France on the soft tire. He's now at the rear of the field in P13. He's surely going to have to come in, get rid of those tires, change that front wing, and his race is going to look very different. But I think I've seen this before. I'm gonna predict what the game just did there, and it's really silly, but wow. I think France, just by taking a little bit too long to get going again, or spending a little too long in that, like, you know, when the car is ghosted, I think it activates a safety car when the car is stationary for too long. So we saw something like this last week, where a slow moving car triggered a safety car. So that crash for France actually gave him a free pit stop. He's able to come into the pits, get rid of that wing, and he's minimized the damage. Welcome as well to Pantry Star. Alpine will lead the way now under safety car. Race has been neutralized. That Alpine in question is Cheddar. He was following nicely on his teammate. They were about 0.5 of a second apart. I wonder if those Alpines ran into each other or what happened. But we had the incident with France that sent him to the back of the grid. That actually triggered the safety car that you see now. So France will have a new set of tires. Everyone in front of him has not pit, and they're all on mediums. So depending on when this safety car ends and how many laps we have at the end, I wonder if he's going to be able to utilize those softs to still come through that field. Maybe not win, but still get a decent result from this sprint race. Yeah, Madwell's saying there is a chance. It's really about how he comes through that field. How much of a fight everyone's going to put up, but he definitely should have the superior tire in terms of compound and age. And with just a few laps to go, he's not going to have to worry about tire management. He's not going to have to worry about saving those softs for later. He can just put in quali lap after quali lap and attack this field in front of him. Those mediums will also be relatively fresh. Remember, some of these laps have been under safety car, so they're not exactly pushing those mediums. Which means if you were stretching the mediums a little bit at the end, the safety car takes that out of the equation and the mediums should get there quite comfortably, but the soft runners should still have an advantage at least for a few laps. Safety car will be in, and we will be underway shortly. We're watching at the front for the restart, but we need to keep our eyes further back as well. Just want to get through turn 1, see everything goes smoothly. Seems like everyone's getting through turn 1 quite nicely, no one going side by side. Further back in the field, these are the drivers you want to watch. There's 3 drivers, Afro, France and Neil, all of them brand new sets of softs. How quickly are they going to be able to come through the order? And well, Afro went side by side with, I believe that was France. Got a good view of it on the helicam, but now Afro finds himself off the circuit, and for good measure. This is Imola, gravel traps exist, so now he's got very dirty tyres. Going to take him a while to get back up to speed. Back at the front, Cheddar leads the way, 0.4 of a second from Wheeze, so it is by no means a comfortable gap. What that safety car has done is, we were talking about the gaps being rather big. It's brought everybody into DRS range. And if we had F1's 2024 rules, DRS would be active as they went over the start finish line there. Just 1 lap for DRS to become active, and just 2 laps at the race start. Wheeze leads the way, Cheddar P2, it's Ferrari P3, then we have Brands in P4, the pair of Mercedes-Benz, Don Rabico, leads his teammate Django, P5 and 6, then the pair of Red Bull, Microstatic leads Midas, that's 7 and 8, then we have the second McLaren, Mr. M, P9, is that a car going off? Yes it is, it's a McLaren, it's a McLaren. I mentioned Mr. M's name. What can I say? I mentioned his name, and now all sorts of things are happening. I think I saw another car go off. Is that another car? I'm not sure. But what I am sure of, this is safety car number 2 in this sprint race. Mr. M has DNF'd from the session. So at least this time the safety car has a legitimate reason. Surely when it's for a driver moving slowly on the racetrack, it should trigger a virtual safety car. And the moment that driver is up to speed, virtual safety car should come to an end. This one is understandable, but the first safety car was unnecessary and completely the fault of the game. And if this is a full-length safety car, then I believe we're going to spend 50% of this sprint race under safety car. Stewards going to have their hands full, saying in the comment section, luckily for me, I'm just here to commentate, I'm just here to watch. I'm just here to watch great drivers do what I can't do. But luckily for me, I'm not a steward. I do not have to make those decisions, because sometimes they're a bit touch and go, and whichever side you're going to go with, you're going to annoy somebody. Safety car will be in this lap, and we will have what I believe will be 2 laps of racing. Wheeze this time will get us underway. Be keeping his eyes on the Alpine, and I wonder if this safety car has just really damaged those soft runners' chances of coming through the field. They do have the superior compound, but they're not going to be able to do it in 2 laps. They needed the laps. They needed the tarmac. I wonder if that's just hurt their strategy slightly. Weeze gets a fantastic start. Andre, on the other hand, coming under pressure immediately. The McLaren up the inside, and very nicely done. Esferi picks up a position at the start. Cheddar has a penalty next to his name. We'll check on that a little later. Rabico, championship leader, just needs a good result in this race. He's up in P4. Brandt's P5. We have Django in P6. Then the pair of Red Bulls trading places briefly. Midas 7. Then France, he's made up a position up into P8. He's past one of those Red Bulls. He's past Microstatic. So he is making up positions, but how many positions can he make up before the end of the race? It's going to be a messy infield. He's going to want to hold on to his end plates. He's going to want to hold on to the front wheels, hold on to the suspension. Last thing you want to do is start at the back of the field. But he also doesn't want to start in the midfield for the feature race. Needs to make up as many positions as he can, and as you can see, he's doing quite the job of it up into P7. Back at the front, Weeze. It's actually cleared P2 now. 1.8 seconds is the gap. It's Ferrari still under pressure from Cheddar, but he'll have in the back of his mind that Cheddar does have penalties. Let's just have a look if we can see what penalty that is. It's a 3-second time penalty. That'll obviously be for track infringements, corner cutting and so on. Not really fair to call it corner cutting. Sometimes it's running slightly wide, sometimes it's taking a little too much curb. And another 3-second time penalty, this time for Afro. France in P7, still trying to make up positions in the closing stages of the race. This is the final lap, and he's up into P6. How many more positions will he be able to make up before the end of the race? This is the leader. He's in the middle of sector 2. Weeze leads from his Ferrari. That's a comfortable lead, but it's Ferrari's going to have to work all the way down to the checkered flag. Is he going to come back? No, he doesn't. Cheddar up into P2. It's Ferrari. Did his best to hold on to that position, but now he's going to have his mirrors full of Don Rabico. He'll be very happy to see the line. Another lap, and he could have been in serious trouble. And that, boys and girls, is your sprint race. There we go, we are back. Sorry for the silence, I messed up my headphones. But we are back, and we're back just in time as the 5 red lights go out. And we've got Weeze going into turn 1. This is a 32 lap race. Don't want to do anything too crazy into turn 1. It's about the long game. And so far Weeze leads the way. It's Free P2. A lot of cars jumping around there, difficult to see what's going on. Don Rabico P3, then Brands P4. Remember France, he was able to make up a whole bunch of positions at the end of that sprint race. So he's up in P5 in the early stages of this race, and we know he's got pace. And lots of pace. As far as tyres, Weeze and It's Free, your top 2 cars, they're on hards. Then Don Rabico in 3rd place, he's opted for the medium compound. Next 3 cars on the list, P4, 5 and 6, all on that hard compound. We're under a virtual safety car. Don't see any retirements. Do see a Red Bull trundling at the back. He is underway again, and surely this virtual safety car will be over. Problem for the car at the back there. When you have a virtual safety car, so you're not able to catch the queue. You have to follow that average speed, that delta. So you don't get the full advantage. Weeze would have preferred the safety car a little later, so maybe he could have just taken a breath. Everyone's still fresh on lap 2. And if you're looking to use a safety car to help you, safety car to switch up your strategy, a safety car to bring you back into the race, this is the sort of safety car that doesn't help you at all. It's lap 2, you're out front, you're trying to get your head into the game, and all of a sudden, slow down. Weeze leads the way, 1 second. That gap has actually come down over the course of the virtual safety car. That can happen. Sometimes gaps increase, sometimes they get smaller. It's all about how much attention you're paying to that delta, how much on the limit you are. Top 3, Weeze, It's Free and Rabico. Then Brands P4 and France still in P5. But he is playing the long game. He's on a set of hards, as are most of the cars around him, with the exception of Don Rabico, who's on a set of mediums. Another one on mediums is Neil in P7, Afro P8, and then Afro P9, and then the pair of Williams, 10 and 11. DRS is enabled, and everyone within a DRS gap. Things are about to get interesting, and look at that DRS train right over there. It's a big one. From P2 all the way down to P10, we have a potential DRS train on our hands. And the only man free of that DRS train is Weeze. He won't know the extent of that DRS train. He'll be just trying to get away from Don Rabico. I think the only names he'll see on his screen are Rabico and It's Free, so he won't really know what's happening beyond that. But a very long DRS train that he wants not to be caught by. So he needs to clear the field. France has made up another position. He's up into P4. But what might tell you a little more of why he's taking a while to get through the field is this DRS train. Every time you open up DRS and you think you're getting some sort of advantage, everyone else around you has that exact same advantage. So it really comes down to battery management, and if you've used too much of that battery in the early stages of the race, well, then you're a sitting duck. We have a caution, and it's a full-blown safety car. Welsh has retired from this race. There we go. Welsh has retired from the race. Lap 4 of 32. We were just getting into that DRS time. Exciting time where the field is all together. DRS becomes available. But the safety car has come out. The virtual safety car came out very early on. Would have put some of the drivers off. And now just a few moments later, we get a full safety car. And it just messes with everyone's momentum a little bit. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of safety cars, Madwell. If you've been watching on the channel at all, I don't know, I've been commentating too much, I don't know, but it was one of the races last week. I believe we had 5 safety cars, and one of them was completely ridiculous. We actually had a safety car where the guys drove behind the safety car for 3 laps, as you normally do, and then we got the safety car notification. Safety car in this lap. Safety car pulled off into the distance. Leader did what any leader would do, started backing up the field, and somewhere down in the field there was contact, and as a result of that contact, a retirement. And as a result of that retirement, well, the safety car went straight down the pit lane and back out the other side, and we had another 3 laps of safety cars. So we actually had a double safety car. So imagine commentating on 6 consecutive laps of safety car. Now that's action right there. Of course, commentating on 6 laps of safety car isn't a big deal if you've ever commentated on endurance racing, which I have. It's definitely not my preferred option. The longest commentary stint in an endurance race was the Kyalami 6 hour. And I don't think I want to be doing that again anytime soon. A lot of cars into the pits, changing things around. Plan ahead for the race now changes. And if anybody did not underfuel, they are going to have a very heavy race. Very heavy car rather at the end of this race. Wheeze still leads the way. Obviously everything neutralized, but when he gets going again, he's going to have Rabico in his mirrors. It's Ferrari. Will be keen to make up progress. Remember, he lost the position. And then we have the 2 Alpines. Cheddar, who led the way in the sprint race quite some time. France, who led the way, but had that incident. Spent the rest of the sprint race trying to make up positions. Eventually got himself up into P5. And then in this race he's made up another position. He's up into P4. And at the restart he'll be looking to get himself onto that podium and beyond. That can't be too much fun driving around behind the safety car, but you've seen races with a lot more safety cars. Still the early stages. 2 safety cars in the sprint race. We've had a virtual and now we've had a full safety car. And as you can see on the track map, safety car is pulling off into the distance, so it will be in this lap. And Weeze's mind will begin to tick, begin to think about that restart. What is he going to do? How is he going to approach it? And the most important part, when is he going to go? Seems like he's gone early. He's gone very early. Caught Rabico. Did he caught Rabico unaware? Yes, he did. 1.1 seconds is the gap there at the front as they head for turn 1. And a sneaky restart from the Aston Martin. Wants to get on with it. he'll know there's a lot of quick drivers behind them, or behind him rather. If he doesn't get going, he's going to have his hands full in a moment. Lap 7 off 32. The time, the leader builds a little bit of a gap, has a bit of a cushion. It's been cancelled out by a safety car in the sprint race, in the feature race. It's been so difficult to maintain some sort of a gap. For now, I'm just going to say Weeze is doing just enough, but he's on the border really of dropping into DRS, falls into DRS and has Don Rabico and France behind him. He's going to have all sorts of problems on his hands, needs to keep that gap over a second. His problem will be Don Rabico has medium tires, and in the meantime he's still going to have the superior grip to the cars around him. France is in P3, so he has been able to clear Ferrari. He is in a podium position, but that's not the podium position he wants. He wants the top step, but if he's going to get there, he has to go through championship leader, and he has to go through the Aston Martin at the front of the field. At the rear of the field, we have Neil P15, Mr. Rem. Remember, he had an incident in the sprint race, so he would have started from the back of the field. He's in P14, and well, that is a safety car. I don't believe that is a glitch. We saw the incident at the back, but again, I think both those cars are moving. Yeah, they might be broken, but they are moving and they are on their way back to the pits. And unfortunately, I'm not even going to say it, it's triggered a safety car. We are on safety car number 4 this evening over the 2 races. This will be frustrating for all of the guys in the cockpit. They want to get on with it. They've set their strategies, they've set their fuel, they've decided what tyre to start on, and just as they're about to get going again, safety car comes out again and the questions start again. Should I pit? Shouldn't I pit? Am I doing the right thing? Am I waiting too long? This is not how the guys want to race. When we have safety cars like this, what it can do is it turns the race into a bit of a lottery. Usually you see the gap spreading out in the opening laps of the race, or at least in the opening stint of the race. By the time those guys pit, there's already few gaps in the field. But what this constant safety car does is it keeps that field absolutely together. And as the laps get less and less, it turns this feature race essentially into a sprint race. Okay, so just confirmation that severe wing damage does trigger a safety car, and we had severe wing damage on 2 cars there. But I do agree with Madwell that it's a little silly, because in fact F1 has come up with a solution for unnecessary safety cars. And it's actually been around for quite some time. In fact, it's in the game. It's called a virtual safety car. And that's where everybody has to slow down to a delta, track gets cleared, and cars get back underway. Serious incident, safety car. Stationary car, safety car. Damaged car, virtual safety car. That's what it's for. At this point, the safety car driver, whoever that is going to have to start thinking about tyre management of his own. He's been out there for a long time today. Hopefully there's 2 safety cars. If you want a weird stat, well, the safety car's done more laps than Welsh, rather. Safety car's done more laps than Welsh. Need to find something entertaining to talk about during these quiet periods. So another silly fact, Oliver Bierman has more F1 points than he has F2 points. And I'm definitely in agreement there with Madwell. Safety car should only be deployed for serious incidents and minor things, damage, things like that. If the car is able to get going, should only have a virtual safety car for half a lap or so and get back underway. Speaking of restarts, we're about to have another. This time lap 10 of 32. And when does Weeze go? Last time he went very early. I think he's done the same thing this time around. Yes, he has. He's got the jump on Rabico, not as much as last time. 7/10 of a second is the gap. France is in P3, so Rabico will be under pressure. It's not going to be all about catching the driver in front of him. He's going to have to watch those mirrors. A very quick driver behind him. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes and is quite relentless. When it comes to consistency, he can just pound in the same laps, lap after lap. And if you're not able to absorb that pressure as the leading driver, the mistake eventually comes. For the driver out front, that is Weeze, he'll be annoyed because he's the driver out front. Remember, he started on the hard, so when you start on the hard, ideally what you want to do is get out there, build a gap, go for a long run, so that when you pit, basically that's what the gap is for, it's for when you pit. But now, you have absolutely no gap. So when it's time to go get rid of those hards, the entire field is right there. I've seen guys go from the lead to the last car in the field from a badly timed pit stop. Just saw a flash of caution, but luckily we are back underway. Weeze leads the way, Rabico very close behind, 0.2 of a second. France still putting the pressure, still looking for a way through. It's not easy. When you're doing everything you can, you're opening up DRS, but that guy in front of you has got the same tools as you. Makes you do the overtaking, I wouldn't say the old-fashioned way, they still have ERS. But if all three cars are managing that ERS in a similar way, it's going to be very difficult to make an overtake, and then you've basically got the old-fashioned scenario of you're going to have to make an overtake by staying as close as you can, applying as much pressure as you can, and when that mistake comes, you capitalize. Weeze leads the way, Rabico P2. Remember, Rabico on a set of mediums, Weeze, basically all the cars around Rabico on a set of hards, so those cars will go deeper into the race. Rabico will be the first one to pit. It's currently in P2. France still there, just 7/10 adrift from Rabico. Not really close enough for the move right now. Saying that the hards can go very deep into this race and then finish on a set of softs. I think that's what a lot of these guys will be hoping for, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a stretch, because remember, we've spent a lot of time at slow speed, not necessarily pushing those tires. Weeze leads the way, 3/10 of a second is the gap. He's got Rabico all over the back of him. Rabico needs to clear that Aston Martin. He's coming under increased pressure from the Alpine. And he knows the only way to alleviate that pressure, even temporarily, is to get past that Aston Martin and put a buffer in between him and the Alpine. It's Ferrari holding on to the cars ahead of him, just losing a bit of momentum now. He's a second away from that field ahead, so he's just falling out of DRS with them. When you're in a DRS train, worst place to be is at the front of that DRS train, because you're going to be the only one that doesn't have DRS. What happens in long battles like this, long drawn out battles where you go around lap after lap. Jacques gets a 3-second penalty. Go around lap after lap looking at the back of the same car, trying to make an overtake. But when you have drivers at this level, everybody is just so damn good. So if you're waiting for that little mistake, sometimes you can wait a very long time. And sometimes that time doesn't come at all. You need to make those opportunities happen, whether it's with DRS, with battery management, with managing your tires and having superior pace at the end, whatever it is you're going to do. But everybody for now staying out, hard runners, medium runners, everybody staying out there in the front. Top 7 still close together, says Pantry Star. Yes, they are. Top 5 still within DRS range of each other. Still a DRS train of 5 cars battling for the lead, technically. Great view of the cars coming over the hills, so close together. Of course, with the amount of safety cars we've had in this race, anything that could happen now could flip this entire field. Because remember that everyone there in the top 10, I think with the exception of Thiago, who's sort of out of sync with everyone else in that top 10 still needs to make a pit stop. Eases ahead, 7/10 of a second. Then Rabico, he leads by half a second from France. France has a 2/10 of a second gap over its Ferrari, so things very close. Then we have a bit of a break in the DRS train. Cheddar down in P5. And he's got Afro all over the back of him. We are at exactly halfway distance. It feels like it's taken long, because it has taken long. We've had 2 safety cars, we've had a virtual safety car, and we had a sprint race that featured 2 safety cars. So hopefully that's enough of that, and we can have a race to the end. Interestingly enough, Jacques, the only man out on circuit utilizing the soft compound, and really the only way I can imagine that is going to work out for him is if he's predicting a late safety car. But Wee's still doing exactly what he needs to do. He's holding on to the lead, but he isn't really able to break away, so the pressure is going to remain. Just behind him now, we saw that fantastic move. France is going to do everything he can now. He's going to put that Aston Martin under pressure. The gap for the lead just half a second, nothing in it. And remember, the more these cars battle, it's going to bring the rest of these cars back into the battle, because the top 10's not that spread out. If these two start to bob and weave, go wheel to wheel, put each other off, break each other's momentum, basically trip over each other. It's going to bring the entire field right back into this. Probably with the exception of Neil and Django, who would rely on a safety car to bring them back into this race. Pantry Star just pointing that out, and yeah, I think the guys would have pit already, but I think just have in the back of your mind, you're thinking safety car, I don't want to pit now and everybody else gets a free pit stop. Now into the pits. A few of the drivers coming into the pits, a few of those first runners already making the jump, but not for France. France leads the way now. Rabico P2, Cheddar P3. We've had a mix up in the order. Afro P4. This is Afro. And very nicely done. Gets past Cheddar. Made it look easy. Same set of tires, same age. So that wasn't a battle of tires or superior grip. That was even odds. Don Rabico, P2, still holding on to France at the front. France trying to extend that gap out of DRS. But every time somebody has got out of DRS, it's triggered a safety car. So let's just keep this race close. Maybe France can just tap the brake every now and then. This is Cheddar, the second of the two Alpines, his teammates up in front. Cheddar, on the other hand, he's battling for a podium. He's actually got himself up into P3 as a result of those pit stops. And now he's got himself up into P2 as a result of a brilliant overtake on Afro. In fact, got ahead of him before the corner. It's a comfortable overtake. But we don't have an Alpine 1-2 because the leader has popped off into the pits. Where is France? There we go, he's emerging from the pits. Crucially, just behind Wheeze. This is Rabico. Remember, he went for the medium compound, everybody else went for the hard compound. And if he was worried about stretching that tire a little bit compared to all the cars around him, he'll be grateful for all those slow laps behind the safety car. So that means he's going to be able to take these mediums much longer than he would have. And I think everybody you see there, at least in the top 7, are going to put on a fresh set of softs if they have a fresh set of softs, which they all should have. Rabico leads. Still no pit stop from Rabico. Cheddar P2, Brands P3. Now remember, these guys that have not pit, guys that have pit, for example France, he's come out on a fresh set of mediums. He's got a bit of clean air ahead of him. He's going to be pounding in the laps. While the guys out front here that have not pit, they're waiting for a safety car, they're waiting for something to happen. But what happens is you're putting in slower laps than the guys with the fresh tires, and the longer you spend out there, the smaller that gap becomes. And if you were relatively close to somebody before the pit stops, you might find yourself far down the road. Rabico leads the way. Cheddar P2. Still 12 laps to go in this race. Long way to go. Brands now on a podium position, but remember, these cars need to pit. Everyone in the top 3 needs to pit. And as I say that, an Alpine comes into the pits. But Rabico and Brands choosing to stay out. Rabico now 20 laps on those mediums. we go, all those drivers that went into the pits, they've come out on mediums. Just saying there in the comment section. Maybe stretching this till around lap 22, 23. Then that way you can put on a set of softs and they'll be able to comfortably make it to the end. Anything more than that, tires will drop off drastically and it will all be for nothing. This is your leader, Don Rabico. It's followed by Brands. That gap is 5 seconds. Let's follow Rabico. Where is he? Is he going to come into the pits? Soon find out. Does he peel off into the pits? Does he stay out? He stays out. And obviously he is on a very different strategy to everyone around him. But maybe, yes, just stretching for that soft compound. In the midfield, still have a battle here. Weeze P5. Remember, he's just crucially ahead of France. Weeze sets the fastest lap of the race. Now you can see it's those cars in the midfield that are setting the fastest laps. They've got the best tires out there right now. And the longer these top two stay out there, surely they're just going to start losing time. And when they eventually do pit, they're going to find themselves at the rear of the field. Remember, we've had multiple safety cars. These cars are close together. If your pit stop takes 20 to 25 seconds, you're going to be way down this order. Box, box, no, stay out. Box, box. Oh, come on, man. What are you doing? I remember that quite well. I even remember the words I was shouting at the screen. Don Rabico eventually peels off into the pits on lap 21, or the lap 23. Those were 22 lap old mediums, took them far. He's going onto the soft compound, you can see that on the top of your screen. In the meantime, Thiago Maestro takes over the lead of the race, but he's got 14 laps on those hards. And while I think he may be able to take those to the end of the race, everyone behind him is going to have superior tires. He may have track position, but will that gap be enough for him to maintain that lead? Thiago Maestro leads the way, his teammate now up into P2, France in P3. He's been there and thereabouts the entire race. He was extremely quick in qualifying, led in the early stages of the sprint race, made a good recovery back into P5, and then in the main race, he's been there and thereabouts, been competitive, but he hasn't really been able to get to the front and open up some sort of gap and assert his dominance on the field. It really just shows the quality of drivers around him. Doesn't come down to just one man. It's one thing to drive quick, it's quite the other to make overtakes and finish races. Too much mathematics. Imagine how I feel. I'm trying to work out. They know their sums. They've each made a sum in their head. They know what they're trying to do. I have to sit here and try and figure out what they're doing. Lots of penalties in the field. We haven't actually spoken about the penalties at all, but let's just bring them up on your screen. We have 3-second penalties for the likes of Weeze, Cheddar, it's Midas, and Jacques. As I say that, penalties racking up on the screen. As you can see, Mr. M has a 5-second penalty, as does It's Free. And then we have 9 seconds worth of penalties for Microstatic and Afro. And then Brands has an 8-second penalty of his own. Lots of penalties. And with the field this close together, if you've got 8 or 9 seconds worth of penalties, that is going to seriously damage your finishing position. Fantastic battling, fantastic driving, switching of positions, no contact, everybody comes out in good condition on the other side. Thought we saw an Aston Martin going off track. He seems to be okay, but he has definitely lost momentum with those cars in front of him. Wies leads the way, France P2. Remember, we spoke about Wies not pitting and how long would that gap last. It was a 4-second gap. It's now down to 0.3 of a second, and France can now apply all the pressure he wants. He's got no one in his mirrors, doesn't need to worry about defense, just needs to worry about attack. Some drivers, most drivers, they don't want to finish second, they want to finish third. They want the win. And in the closing stages of this race, when you can literally see the leader in front of you, you're going to push that much harder, you're going to go that little bit faster, you're going to find something more in your pocket you didn't know you had. France getting awfully close. Last thing he wants is contact in the closing stages of the race. A pit stop at this stage would be detrimental to your race. This is France. It's Ferrari trying to keep in touch with the two leaders, but he's in a sort of Charles Leclerc situation at the moment. 2 cars out ahead, just a little too far out ahead. And then he's got a nice little cushion to the car behind him. So he's having a bit of a lonely race. Charles Leclerc described it as a boring race. There's been nothing boring about this race. The safety car has really mixed things up and essentially turned it from a 50% race to something more like a 35% race. Afro picks up a 3-second time penalty. Thanks for pointing that out. I actually didn't. There we go. We've got a safety car, folks. I was going to mention the caution. Caution popped up on the top left, and I was going to say we've got a yellow flag, but before I could finish what I was saying, we have a safety car. And now, I hope the comment section explodes. You guys need to tell me, what would you do? Surely you hold on to track position with only a few laps to go. Or do you go in, put on a fresh set, and throw it all to the wind? Yeah, definitely, Mandel. If you thought the safety cars were over, we're getting one more. We're getting one more just to shake things up. And after 18 minutes of qualifying, and after a sprint race, and after 27 laps of racing in this feature race, this race is going to essentially come down to a 3 or 4 lap sprint race. All the preparation, all the thinking of strategies, it's all going to come down to this, and you can see seems like everyone peeling off into the pits. Thiago Maestro, he did have aging hards, so I think this safety car will be very beneficial to him. But what this has done is the guys that have just recently pit and still have relatively fresh tires, they're not going to come into the pits, they're not going to give up track position. So this has swapped the field. And now Afro leads the way. Well, he's spending a lot of time on the grass there. I was wondering if there was something wrong with the AlphaTauri or its driver. seems to be back underway. Afro, Rabico, Wheeze, that is your top three. 3 manufacturers in the top 3. In fact, 5 manufacturers in the top 5. Seems like Afro was ahead of Don Rabico under the safety car, but he has since gone into P2. We know you cannot overtake under the safety car, so I wonder if that was when we saw him off track, because you can indeed pass a car under safety car if that car is off track. So now your leader also has no penalties, and this may have all fallen into the hands of Don Rabico. Really, in the closing stages of the race, he looked strong. Definitely didn't look like he had a guaranteed win. There was still a lot to play for. But the way things are panning out, I think he may have called this just right. Nobody could have predicted. While we have a moment and we're under safety car, let's just bring up those penalties again. There we go. So Afro in P2, but look at those penalties. It's 12 seconds. Remember what I said, safety car brings everyone together. You're only going to have 2 or 3 laps to the end. That gap, that field's not going to spread out much in 2 or 3 laps. These are all quality drivers. So if you have a 12-second gap and you're in P2, you could very well essentially find yourself at the back of the field if nobody has any major dramas at that restart. A lot more penalties, but those penalties are all reasonable. Wheeze, France, Cheddar, Midas, Brands, and Jacques, all on 3 seconds apiece. And then just Afro with those 12 seconds. But if he didn't have those 12 seconds next to his name, what a result this would be. But unfortunately for him, he'll be cursing himself. Okay, the switch in the lead was a gesture. He basically let that happen. Don Rabico is going to lead the way, and he's going to see all those drivers behind him with penalties next to their names, and so much pressure is going to be off him at the restart. Still going to give it everything till the end of the race, but just knowing you have that cushion takes the pressure off. And if you're the man in P2, it's really difficult to get motivated for the race. So what do? Do you battle for the lead? Well, you've got a 12-second gap. Where are you going to finish? Difficult place to be when you've got that many penalties and you're at the front of the race. Do you attack? Do you hold station? Is it worth it? It's really all for the bragging rights of how it ended on track. But the official score sheet, as we know, will look very different. We had these 16 drivers at the start of the session. We're down to 3 of them. Sorry about that. 3 DNFs. If we were down to 3 of them, well, that would explain all the safety cars. But no, we've only lost 3 of them. Goodness me, could you imagine if we were down to 3 cars? Well, That would have been a lovely race. Safety car has pulled off into the distance, and we will get our final safety car restart of the evening. We're going to go over the line. It's going to be lap 31 of 32, which means we're just going to get 2 laps of racing. And Rabico coming under immediate pressure from Ruiz and Afro. Ruiz does make up a position on Afro. Remember, Afro has all those penalties next to his name. France in P4 also has a penalty of his own, as does Cheddar. Everyone in the top 5, with the exception of the leader, has penalties next to their name. So while that gap says 3/10 of a second, it's actually 3.3 seconds. Comfortable gap at the front. Next best with no penalties. We want to keep it that way. It's Farid. He's in P6, and this is crucial. We haven't pointed it out in the race, but It's Farid has no penalties next to his name. All of those cars in front of him have 3-second penalties, and of course Afro has 12 seconds. So It's Farid could still very well definitely get a podium. I think the only one that will finish in front of him is Don Rabico, and that's as a result of him having no penalties. If Rabico suddenly picked up a penalty, It's Farid could potentially win this race from P6. So keep your eyes on the timing screens. We have 1 lap to go, and this race ain't over. This Mercedes goes over a track limit and gets a penalty. It's Farid. It surprised everyone. He is going to get a good result nonetheless. Things finished right now. He'd finish in P2. Gaps haven't been able to open. Obviously we just had a 2-lap sprint to the end from the last safety car. So I'm not even going to try read out the results until those official results come up on our screen, because all of this is going to flip. Now we're in these closing stages. This is the leader. France P2, Cheddar P3, Rabico crucially holding that gap to the 3 cars in front of him within 3 seconds, which means he would win the race. Does he win the race? Yes, he does. He wins the race. It's Farid goes up into P3 as a result of all those penalties. And well, what a race it was. What a night it was. I think we saw 5 safety cars in a virtual. Max Verstappen may be setting all sorts of records, but we set records of our own. Checkered flag has fallen for everyone, I believe. There we go, we're just waiting for the Jacques. And there we go, Jacques comes over the line in P10 for the final point. What an evening. It's been an evening of safety cars, strategies, lots of thinking. We're finally at the end of it. So there we have your... Let's try and get this right. There we go. There we have your official results. Don Rabico takes the victory. No penalties next to his name. Look how crucial that turned out to be. Ruiz P2, and It's Farid again, no penalties. He gets himself up onto the podium. Then Thiago Maestro, he goes up P4, France P5, Cheddar P6, and they followed by Mr. M, Neil, Afro, and Jacques, making up the final points paying position. Now in the points tonight, we have Rand P11, Midas P12, Django 13, actually these were DNFs. So Midas, Django, Microstatic, Buffelsfontein and Welsh all DNF'd from this race. Obviously, to everyone watching back home, I want to thank you all very much. Comment section was already busy before the race started. Everyone was ready and raring to go. Thanks for all of the support on the channel. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Only 40% of our viewers are subscribed to this channel. So if you're one of those, please subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with SAFRL Tier 2 at Imola on Wednesday. New set of drivers. Most of them are in the comment section right now, and they wouldn't have been able to get a lot of strategy hints for Wednesday, because this one was a bit of a mess. And thank you all once more, and until I speak to you again.